Okay, yeah. Good morning. Welcome to SilviaFindings live stream on Facebook. Um, this is our Wednesday morning live stream showroom live stream event thing that we do every Wednesday morning at 10:30 Pacific time, or extrapolating out east to wherever you are or around the world. Hopefully, we get people from all over the place watching us. Um, We do have customers from all over the world. We ship everywhere. Um, Today, I wanted to, well, before we talk about the chains, which I'm going to talk a lot about chains, especially the bulk chains that we have, um, I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping things. If you share this live event during the live event, we'll send you a free polishing cloth. Um, we'll be able to. Oh, there was somebody last week who shared it that we never got their address. I don't know if we got that, who that was. Oh, I'm in the wrong. There we are. Hi again. Instead of seeing me in the little tiny box in the corner, here we are, full screen. My name is Mark. I'll be your live stream event coordinator today. Um, but yes, the polishing cloth, free polishing cloth, if you share the event. And somebody shared it last week, but we haven't been able to get a hold of them. So if you shared it last week and we didn't send you one of those, let us know. Give us a DM in the comments or whatever, and we'll get that off to you. Any orders that you place today during the live stream, you'll get 10%, not percent off, free shipping. And there was somebody who was asking about they're a club member and they wanted to know if they also get 10%. I said no, but they do, yeah.
No, actually only one benefit.
Right. So we don't stack discounts, So
Yeah.
if you are a member of a club thing, normally we give you 10% off, but that's if you're paying for shipping. If you're not paying for shipping, then you just get the thing. So I guess you could decide how much you're ordering and if see which discount works better for you, that you pay for shipping or get your 10% off for your club membership. Speaking of shipping is it's actually getting better. I know that last week and all the weeks before I tend to complain a lot. International shipping is still kind of tricky unless you're going courier like DHL. Those have been amazing, just great. We've had stuff to Germany in like 2 or 3 days. So those have been great. Into the States, same, about 2 days. Shipping into the US is not really a problem because U.S. Postal Service is just so much better than Canada Post. Shipping domestically is still a problem. We're still looking at, minimum 2 weeks if we're shipping, across the country to Ontario or more east than that. If we're shipping from BC to Alberta, you're looking at, easily 5 days, 7 days. I shipped something from here to Vancouver Island that took 7 days, so maybe the ferry had to get checked for coronavirus. But it is getting better. It's not as bad as it was where things were taking, 21 days, 30 days. We had one shipment to Great Britain that went by post that was 71 days. But I think that was an outlier. I don't think it's really that bad. Although that's what they're saying. They're saying, they're only guaranteeing, or when you go to select the option to ship via post internationally, they say you can expect the shipment to be anywhere from 8 to 75 days shipping is what they're quoting. So if we ship something to you and it was less than 75 days ago, wait, because it may still get there. We'll probably still get there. Luckily, we haven't had anything lost in this thing. Just things are taking a long time, so just be aware of that. And if you're not interested in paying the extra money for the courier service, DHL, that things may take a while. U.S. shipping, like I was about to say before, it's still really good. We get stuff from here. I think we shipped something to Virginia, which is just a couple days ago. is the last thing that I looked at that was delivered. And that was only 5 days from here to Virginia. That includes going across the border and everything. So that was still pretty impressive. But I have heard anecdotally that U.S. Postal Service things are slowing down because I think of political concerns or issues there, which I'm not not going to get into how silly that is. Um, so that's that. We do these live streams once a week, every Wednesday, because we like being able to connect with you, the customers. We don't get to do it at shows anymore during the pandemic, although I think, later in the fall, we'll keep our fingers crossed and knock on wood, that shows may start happening again. Whether people will be confident enough to actually go to them is another story. But if there's a show and if there's a promoter who thinks that, you know, uh, they're able to do it, and the government gives us a go ahead and says, yeah, okay, you can have, meetings with more than 50 people or whatever the limit is now, we'll be there. And if we're there, hopefully you'll be there too. But in the meantime, we have us. It's just me and you here, sitting down on Facebook, talking about whatever you want. The discussion is open. We have somebody, Marble, is monitoring the chat. So if there's any questions, comments, or concerns, or even if you just want to say, hey, Mark, good pandemic haircut. Which, if you notice, compared to last week, my hair was, but now it's much better. Um, we were just talking with some customers earlier this morning about how, businesses are starting to reopen, but nobody's going to them. When I walked into the hairstylist on the weekend, it was the weekend and it was busy, a thing, but there was nobody there. And they were like, "Oh yes, thank you, please sit down. We're happy to see." And they, did the shampoo and the shave and all that stuff. I think they were just bored and they wanted to have something to do. So I felt pampered. It was good. And we were all wearing masks, so relax. Socially distancing when available. Um, so that's basically where we are as far as I think. Hopefully shows will start again, but in the meantime, we're always here. I'm here every day. We're shipping orders every day. So if you're placing an order online on the website or on Etsy, which we have a pretty good presence there now, your shipment will go out the same day or the next day, usually at the latest. If you order in the middle of the night, it'll be that day. But if you order, say, in the evening, it won't go that day. It'll go the next day. Anyway, neither here nor there. If you're not familiar with us, with SilviaFindings, why are you here? Why are you watching this if you're not already familiar with us? But in case you're not, or in case you're only vaguely familiar with us, we're Canada's premier supplier of sterling silver findings, chain, wire, sheet metal. But I would say our most important product line is the findings. The pendants, rings, earrings, bales, those kind of things. There's anybody who has the selection or the quality that we have, which is one thing we were just talking yesterday about how nice it is that so many of the reviews that we get, people expound on, how the findings are really solid and they're heavy and they're, just great quality. I think a lot of people are used to buying things online and getting them and having them be really flimsy and stuff. And our stuff is not like that. We got the QC down. Anyway, enough patting on the back of ourselves. I'm going to talk today about bulk chains, and maybe a little bit about the finished chains. Although the finished chains are less exciting because they're kind of obvious. It's a great style, it's a good length. You buy it, it already has a clasp on it. You stick your pendant on there, and boom, you're gone. But the bulk chains have a lot more chance to do interesting things with them. And at first glance, you would think, well, maybe I'll just, stick a clasp on it and get the length I want, put a clasp on it, and that's it. But there's tons more things you can do with them. And I'm going to talk a little bit about those things later. I'm just going to go over a couple of terms that you may have heard, talking about chains and what kind of chains they are. Things like, cable chains, curb chains, Belcher or Rolo chains, Figaro chains, those kind of names and what they mean. The most basic standard, let me get this thing back there. The most basic standard, kind of chain where it's just loops one, after the other, so they turn perpendicular to each other, right? Thing and stuff. These are all equal sized little ovals, right? This is called a cable chain, where it's just a cable made of, links that are round or oval or, whatever shape they are. But there's nothing else done with them. It's just link, 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 right? Now, if you take this cable chain and you twisted it enough that it began to bend and stretch, and each of the links would become a little bit warped, and then it would end up, they would get warped like this, so the links would end up almost laying, flat. This is basically a curb chain, and a curb chain is basically a cable chain that's been twisted and sometimes flattened. This one has a nice, little texture on there, a little flat edge on there. That's really great. And we have these, of course, in just so many different sizes. I don't know where to start. Everything from the smallest one we've got off the top of my head. I've had this open. Is, something like that, right? Just a regular old little cable chain. And that's like 1 millimeter. The code number for that one is SFC 107, and the price of that, the retail price is $2.93 a foot. Can you see that? Is that focusing? There you go. And the wholesale price of that is $1.76 a foot. That's one of the new ones. We've got a whole bunch of new ones. So that's a really tiny cable chain. And we've got another kind of chain. It's not really a cable chain. This is not really what I expected either. I pulled this one because I don't know if you can see that. That's not going to think. It looks flat, and I thought it was flat, but as I pulled it out of off the coil, it started twisting, which is just gorgeous. That yeah, kind of chain is, but it's very cool. Tiny twisted, something like this, right? The links are too small that you wouldn't be able to get a jump ring through there, so you would have to solder the ends, something on the ends of that. But the vast majority of chains that we have don't require soldering, and we also have a couple of different findings that you could use that wouldn't require solder, like there's one, a hook and eye clasp that has a tube at the end that you put the chain inside, and you could crimp one of the sections of the tube and it holds the chain in there. It's really good. Or just you can also use regular old cord ends, that push closed, I think. Besides the cable chain and the curb chain, there's another real popular chain called Rolo Chain, and we call it Rolo Chain. Depending where you are in the world, though, you might call it Belcher or Belker, Belcher. That's just kind of like a, flat on the inside, rounded on the outside, curved, nice and heavy chain, nice solid chain. This one is the biggest one we have. That's a 7 millimeter link, and that one is $70.54 a foot, or $44.09 a foot is the wholesale price. Um, and these chains are great. This is one of those things where you don't actually have to use them just as a, just sticking a clasp on either end, although that does look cool. I've seen, tons of things where these chains are kind of stacked together, and then other chains or cord run through, back and forth sort of thing. And you might have, 4 or 6 layers or whatever, however, wide it is. And you can get a really awesome, bracelet, whatever, linking chains together. There's a company out of Las Vegas called Continental Bead, and they have a bunch of how-tos of how to do different kinds of stringing things with chains and stuff. You can look that up. I think they have some things on YouTube too. So using chain not just as a chain, but as a component in something. And people look at some of our bigger chains, and they think, well, yeah, that's cool, but beyond the obvious, making a very cool, necklace with it, what can I do with it, right? So this is kind of a cable chain, alternating some little tiny links and big links, right? The big links are kind of scalloped, hammered, I don't know what you want to call them. This chain is SFC 075, and $49.36 a foot, or $34.70 is the wholesale price. But what I think is most cool about this chain is that it's very easy to take out those little loops, cut those little loops off, and then use just the individual links as a component. If you took this and you hung an ear wire off one side and then maybe dangled a bead on the inside, that's a component that would be if you bought a foot of this chain, that it would be individual link. At this point, you can use them for anything, right? These individuals, or you can have a couple of links just hanging from an ear wire or something. Here's another interesting shape that offers the same sort of thing. Imagine you think of the little loops as packaging, and if you just took the little loops off and then use these components as something else, you don't necessarily have to use these things as chain, although I'm whatever. Some of the smaller chains, if you cut cut varying lengths of them, like maybe a couple of pieces that are an inch long, a couple of pieces that are an inch and a half, a couple of pieces that are inch and a quarter, a couple of pieces that are 3/4, and then dangle all those or bind all those up in an eye pin, pull it through a bead cap, make a loop in the top of that, then you have a beautiful kind of like a interesting tassel, earring that you made with nothing but chain, people love that stuff. There are some other chains, like this one. We've got a couple different styles of this. I'm just going to show you one for now. This is chain, kind of like a woven, through a draw plate to make them all evenly, sized and tiny. There's no it is, still, supple, and bendable and everything, but the loops are not big enough to put anything through. I've seen these chains used a lot as what they call ear threaders. You know, you solder little sterling post to the end of that thing, and then you cut a length, I don't know, a couple of inches. Maybe you solder a loop to the bottom and dangle beads off, but then you string that through, and you string the whole chain through your ear. I don't have an earring holes, thing, right? But then you have a couple of strands of these dangling down. Very chic, very cool. That does require soldering, but well, you just can't beat the concept of using chains for something other than what they were intended, and that's one of the best things I find about jewelry people is that necessity being the mother of invention. You have an idea in your mind, and you know, some people see things like a chain, and you know, the concept ends with, you know, oh yeah, I could put a clasp on the ends of that and dangle whatever from that, you know. But other people see it and say, ooh, I can use these components to do whatever, to do, you know, crazy things. Here's a nice big open, let me show you this. It's a cable chain, right? But the individual links, the wire that that this chain is made of, is kind of twisted, right? These kind of thing, and a lot of these other bigger link chains are pretty labor intensive because they've got to be soldered closed. You know, there's not like a uh, uh, the machine. I don't know if you've ever seen the machines that actually make chains, but you put wire, whatever the size wire. It could be, if it's these you know, Rolo chains, it'll be a wire that looks like this, kind of domed, you know, curved on the inside, not half round. That would be like way heavier. Um, and the wire blank just goes into the machine. There's a series of uh, pneumatic arms that kind of push the wire around pegs of different sizes and different lengths. Right, so the wire comes out, it pushes it around a peg, bends it into a loop, then it flips the thing on its side, does the same thing around the other direction, flips it on the side, does the same thing in the other direction, back and forth, and you know, look it up on YouTube. How to make chain. You'll see the machines. They work pretty fast, and they're very cool. But the one thing that they don't do, at least none that I ever know, I mean, maybe there is a machine out there that does it, but it would be super expensive. They don't solder all the links as they go. Um, uh, so bigger chains like this, you couldn't get away with just having an open link. You need these to be soldered closed. So somebody physically has to solder them closed. So they're a little more labor intensive. Something like this one I was talking about. That with the twisted thing, that is $25.96 a foot, or the wholesale price is $19.88 a foot. This is SFC 017, which, God, I just love it. Nice big chain. You can't go wrong. And it's big, but it's not heavy. It's not super heavy, which is a thing. As far as those Rolo chains go, I know I talked about this, you know, great big one, just so that you could see better, you know, how it's made. We have that in sizes all the way from, this one is 2.5 millimeters. That is SFC 094. $12.02 a foot, or $7.21 a foot is the wholesale price, right? And that's the same, you know, basically exactly the same chain as that other giant one, 1.5 millimeters wide, all the way up to, you know, that big one. We've got, you know, a bunch of different sizes of those, and you're not limited to rounds, right? For those that Rolo chain, here's a Rolo chain that's kind of interesting. It's almost like a what I call a Figaro chain. Normally Figaro, and I'll pull one out later that's a little more traditional, right? So this has like 5 links. That's right. They need to be odd numbers. 5 links of smaller ovals and 1 big link, but it's all the same Rolo, wire, I guess. Rounded on the outside, flat on the inside. Um, and we do have another one of those things, which I thought this one was, but when I looked at it, it was different. That's just ovals, right? Off the top of my head, I don't remember the code number of that one, but this one, this Figaro-ish kind of thing, is SFC045. Retail price $17.85. Wholesale price $11.16. And that again also is, very cool. Can't go wrong with that. Where is... Oh, I definitely want to show you those. I want to show you this only because it's kind of a hybrid. It's it's a cable chain, right? The links are not twisted or anything. They're just flat links, but they're ovals, right? With pretty pointy ends. See the ends of those? How they're pretty pointy, right? And the wire that they use to make this is square wire. So you get a very cool, flattened, but chunky, so a lot of times flattened wires tend to feel, more flimsy, but this feels really solid, just gorgeous. Lots of sparkle, lots of, love that, right? Curved, the links are curved. There's a little bit of a bend in them. This SFC007 is only $20.59 a foot, $15.87 a foot. And obviously the biggest price goes of chains is the weight of them. You can get. I know that we have some links that are maybe 2 millimeters wide, and another chain where the links might be 3 millimeters wide, and it looks like the 3 millimeter wide chain should be more expensive because it's bigger. Maybe the wire is a little bit bigger gauge, but if you think of how tightly packed together the smaller chain is and how much more material there is per inch, if you cut a 12-inch piece of that, small 2 millimeter chain and you weight it against what the 3 millimeter chain would be, there'd be a lot more weight, maybe 50% more because of the how more tightly packed together the links are. So, pricing on chain is one of those things where weight has a lot. Also, like I said, on some of the other more complicated ones.
Made this hollow inside.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So Marvel's just saying is, like I mentioned before, on these Belcher, these great big Belcher chains, they're not flat on the inside. They're domed on the inside, so they're kind of hollow thing. So it's nice and big, but it's also not super heavy.
Sounds very good.
Yeah, this is one of our best sellers actually. I know we've got tons of this. Again, just in case you're interested, SFC091, like I said, $70.54 a foot, or $44.09 is the wholesale price a foot. Which really, you really only need to get 3.5 feet of this to get the wholesale price. Something. Do we have a question? Do I have to order a foot if I only need, say, 7 inches? No. The chains are all priced by foot, but in our POS system, we have it incrementally possible to do by the inch. So, we just do the math, So if you order 6 inches of something, we would, sell you 0.5 feet of that. So we're able to do decimal places on the chain. So no, I guess is the short answer. You don't have to buy a whole foot. And we sell the chains. Oh yeah, there's I wanted to show you and there's another one too. This and that other one. Something like let me get back to that. Here's a chain that I think we've sold this at just about every show I've ever been at. And people buy 6 inches, 7 inches of this, put a clasp on it, and and that's it. This is SFC002, $68.16 a foot, or $42.60 a foot. Right, and these individual components, these little flower components, are individually made, and then they've got to be soldered together. So that's why there's a little more labor involved in this. But this is another one of those things where, boy, you could just get a couple inches of this chain and then use these components for something else. And where's that other one with the I should have got it out. Oh, here's a very cool chain. This is a European 4-in-1 chainmail. 3 rows of that chainmail, right? Done. So there's no machine in the world that makes this. These all have to be strung up by hand, right? So this SFC004 is $49.97 a foot is the retail price. $31.23 is the wholesale price. And this is another one of those things where, boy, you could just very easily put a clasp on the end of this and put this around the thing and point, and you've got a look at my lovely wrist, my hairy wrist, right? You have a very cool little bracelet. Very easily done. This one is also really super interesting. If you are familiar at all with any chains, making your own, links, your own chains, this is a variation on what's called a Byzantine chain, right? Where there's in there, right? There are 4 rings, and then here there's 2 pairs of the big oval rings, and those are in pairs, of course. And that, again, it's tricky to make. These things have to be assembled by hand and then soldered by hand. So, but golly, you could just, you probably wouldn't use this to take apart, although you could definitely take these apart and have all kinds of very cool twisted jump rings. But I think it's just way more impressive the way it is. Usually Byzantine chains don't alternate the individual sections like these do, right? Where you have 4 rings and then big ovals. Usually you'll have, a couple of series of these sections in a row, and then another one, and then back and forth. But I know from experience, actually making these kind of chains, that they're tricky to to keep in one piece. And then, solder them and pickle them and polish them and things. So it's no surprise that these are, that's actually not bad. There's only $57.36 a foot or the wholesale price $34.98 a foot. So, you know, a lot of these chains, you know, we have a lot of the chains that are made by machine that are, churned out, and the prices are according. You know, you'll get chains that are, $4 or $5 a foot, $1 a foot, $1.50 a foot, and you'll get other ones that are, super. Oh yeah, here this SFC 066. This I think is our single best seller of all the chains. It's a very simple, very small cable chain, nice and lightweight. You can get a jump ring in there, probably even as big as an 18 gauge jump ring, maybe even 16 if you stretch the loops open. But this one, SFC 066, is 2.5 the links are 2.5 millimeters wide, so it's not super tiny, but it's not very bulky. It's just kind of nice and comfortable. This is only $3.39 a foot is the retail price, or $2.12 a foot is the wholesale price. I mean, you can't go wrong with a beautiful little sterling chain like that. And like I said, I think this is probably our best-selling chain all around. Off the top of my head. Just back up a minute and show you this also. Here's another one of those chains where the individual pieces can be used as components for something else. I see these individual little components all over the place in fashion jewelry. And instead of going through the trouble of actually making them yourself, bending the loop, hammering them out, or soldering them first and then hammering them out, we've got them already made for you. Marble pulled a couple of things he wants me to show you. This is your classic. I've lost the name off the top of my head. Your classic. What is this? Again, oh my God. This is what happens. No, it's the because it'll come into my head again in a second. As soon as I start talking, I talked about that already. Here's another super interesting, chain. I don't know if that'll focus on, but the individual links, right? It's a kind of it's a cable chain, right? The links are kind of, long ovals like that, but every other link has two rings that are, set on top of it. So they're strung through, those things and then put on, and then the chain just keeps going. So, I mean, that's just super interesting thing. Again, not machine made, so it's a little more expensive. This is only, actually, it's not bad. $44.44 a foot is a retail price. $30.02 is a wholesale price. And those links are about 4 millimeters wide. So it's not a bulky chain by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not a tiny one either. It's just really super interesting. Yes, every jump ring is soldered on. Golly, I'm just trying to look.
All the chains.
Yeah, all the chains are soldered. Yes, all the chains have the links are soldered. Right. So these are. Figaro. You see, I knew it would come to me. So this, right, is your classic Figaro chain where you have. I'm gonna see if I can keep that flat. Where you have one oval link, wide oval link, and then three smaller links, and a wider oval link, three smaller links, 3-1, that 3-1, 3-1, 3-1, 3-1 sequence. That's kind of your classic Figaro. This is curb chain, right? So it's starts out life as a cable chain, and then they're twisted, right? So the chains actually lie flat. We've got a couple of other options of that Figaro chain. This one is SFC 067, $9.98 a foot, or $7.40 a foot. And this, off the top of my head, looks like it's about 4. There's measurements not on the label, but I would say that's about 4 millimeters wide. Right? Classic. Can't go wrong with that. Here's one that's Moons, MON. That spells moon. And we have this. We also have one somewhere that's hearts.
Sold out.
Oh, the heart one is sold out. Sold out of hearts. People love that.
For bracelet.
Yeah, these are great for bracelets or even you can carefully cut these open and then solder them back closed and use them as components for other stuff. I'm all about reusing the links for something else. This moon is $22.72 a foot, or $17.40 is the wholesale price. And I love this. This is kind of a Rolo material, right? Or Belcher material, where it's kind of rounded on the outside, flat on the inside. Not quite half round, more like a low dome wire. Can be used to make that.
It's a very simple one. The custom order.
Somebody custom ordered this. So this is a custom order that we made enough that we kept some, I guess. Just very simple. This is a cable chain, very light loops. SFC 079 is only $19.56 a foot, $13.45 a foot. This is light enough that I'm not going to do it. But if you wanted to, you could probably pull this and stretch these into ovals. And I've done it a bunch of times with chains that I made myself, right? You just make a bunch of rings, you solder them together, making them into a chain as you go. And then when you're done, if you grab the first and the last link with maybe a pair of round nose pliers so you don't mar the wire too much, or you can put little dowels inside or something, and you pull evenly, the links will all stretch evenly, so you get nice ovals that are all the same. And if the wire is thick enough, you can twist them and turn them into a curb chain, and you can do whatever you want. But this is really nice.
You need to solder very well.
Yeah, you need to be able to solder. Well, if you do it right, it's not a problem. And these links are, off the top of my head, I'd say they're probably 12 millimeters, 10. Where's the caliper? 10 millimeters. Look at that. So very nice thing. 10 millimeter loops, and the wire that this is made with, I'm gonna say 22 gauge. So it's nice and light, airy. You can use, imagine if you cut, you have an ear wire, and then you cut a couple sections of that. One section of 3 links, one section 5 links, one section 6 links, something in between, and you dangle a couple of beads off that. You get a beautiful kind of staggered, effect on there. Tons of that kind of stuff you can do with these chains instead of just trying to get your mind out of the idea that you've got to use these chains as necklaces or bracelets, and you just put it around. Although a lot of these, especially the handmade ones, they're just gorgeous. That you could easily just slap a clasp on there, put it on, and wear it around. Here's a and you wouldn't look out of place in a Tiffany's or something. Here's another kind of variation on that Figaro chain, right? So there's just the three ovals, and then the bigger oval. In this case, it's a diamond kind of thing. But there's also a little more detail. I don't know if you could see, but the wider loops, right? Because the center of the three little loops is a little bit smaller than the two wider ones, and the wider ones are twisted. So there's size differences here. There's texture differences here. Just a super interesting chain. Again, nice big wide open chain. You can dangle things in between these. You can use these as components for something else, or again, it just it wouldn't look out of place just as a as a lovely necklace or bracelet. You'd have to have good sized wrists like I do to make that work, though, to be able to see enough of it. That is one of my favorites on all those. And this is I didn't say SFC 077, $27.85 a foot is a retail price, $19.42 is a wholesale price. Again, this is a handmade chain, so you get what you pay for. And here's another one, another Figaro variation, right, where the small loops, a trio of three small twisted ones, then one big one, and then another big one connected by a small one. So it's kind of 3, 3, and 3 instead of the regular old Figaro 3 and 1. But just super interesting. This is SFC 073. $43.94 a foot, and the retail price is $29.30 a foot. Again, another handmade chain, which you're not going to find these at other places, folks. We're the factory. We have these things. I mean, you'll find other chains that are different, but none that are as good, if I may say so myself. Right? It's a cable chain, right? Alternating very tiny Rolo links with nice ovals. Those are probably 22 gauge ovals, and they're, I don't know, I'd say probably 10 millimeters wide, 14 millimeters long, maybe, off the top of my head. This is SFC 088, $20.83. A foot is a retail price, and $13.02 is a wholesale price. See, something like this, you can get away with the doing this not by hand. This can be machine made. But anything more complicated than this, especially where you have, more than two different kinds of links. If you have alternating twisted wire and round wire, or Rolo wire, and round wire, especially if you have bigger loops. Machines are not super proficient at making those and closing the links. I think like on the smaller machine-made chains, as the chain flips over and goes to the next one, when the pneumatic thing smashes it closed, it actually fuses the ends together. So so I guess technically the question that was asked, are all of them soldered? No, they're fused, which is the same thing, but technically not accurate to say they're soldered. I'm going to get in trouble for that, because yes, fused and soldered offers the same function, in the end, but it's all one piece of metal. It's just how you do it. Solder uses another piece of metal to melt to flow the ends together, whereas fusing actually melts the two ends together. I guess if you want to get into semantics. Here's another really super interesting variation of a Figaro chain, although I'm not sure where this one would begin or end, and if it's strictly a Figaro, because Figaro is normally, 3 and 1, or 3 and 2, or 3 and 3. This is kind of all over the place, right? So there's alternating lengths of round wire, great big round oval, right, with smaller ovals on the ends, followed by sections of twisted wire that are a section of 5 that are alternating small, medium, and large links in the center of those. So this obviously you would need to ideally have a good. Whoops! Come on. Ideally, you'd want to have a little more length of this to be able to show off the really interesting pattern. Shorter lengths like a bracelet or something might not be as effective or as impressive. Or you could just cut all these things apart and use the individual components. This is SFC 001. So chain number 1. And the retail price of this handmade chain is $56.84, and the wholesale price is $35.53. I see we're approaching the 1 hour mark. This goes way too fast. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing any of the major things that I wanted to. Oh, what's that other one that I said before about that? Right, that's just a regular old oval Rolo chain. This is also really super popular, that thing, because I think because the price is so good. It's only $12.19 a foot, $7.62 a foot for the wholesale price. It's a good, oval chain. It's a curb chain. Well, it's not a curb. It's a Rolo chain, but it's an oval Rolo, flat on the inside, rounded on the outside. It looks classic. It looks, solid. The links are about 3.5 millimeters wide by 6 millimeters long. So it's, I don't know, I guess in relation to my fingers, you can see those links. They're not super tiny, but they're not huge either. Just really super versatile chain. You can use that for just about anything, from nice delicate, pendants or whatever. All about the great big, chunky things, and nothing would look out of place on this. I think that's why it's also one of our better sellers. So I'm definitely going to keep this within an hour. We said we would try to keep these in an hour, and I know I always go over and I end up stretching to 80, 90 minutes, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to basically stop here. I know that's a lot of chains, a lot of different chains. My idea was just to give you an idea just of the range. We've got like 100, just over 100 different styles of chains, bulk chains that you could look through. The pictures on the website are great. You could zoom into them, get a look at the things. The dimensions are all on there. You could see how wide the links are, the individual links are. Some of them actually say how wide the wire is, like if it's made with 20 gauge or 18 gauge wire or whatever. So you can always have a look at those things. Our showroom now, by appointment only. You got to call thing, because you don't want to have crowds of people in here. But you can always just call ahead and then come and show up and have a look at any of these things in person. If some of the things that you saw today I know they're really interesting to me, but if they're interesting to you, we're welcome to have you come in and have a look at them, and talk more about how they're made, about how you can use them. I had an idea. We have a bead. Maybe I'll show that if we're still doing this in October. A bead that's a spider with a spider web, and I had an idea of doing a kind of like a bead cap with that bead on it, and having a bunch of little dangles of chains strung together to make kind of like a web with that spider bead on the inside. Yeah, I thought it would look very cool. And another way to use these chains in a way that's not how most people think of how to use chains. I keep going. I'm going over. What am I missing? What did I forget? I must have forgot something. I feel like I forgot something. Don't forget to share this live stream to get your free polishing cloth. Any orders that you place during the live stream, either by private message or we can get a hold of you through the comments. You'll get free shipping on those orders. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Don't you hate that? When you know that there's something in the front of your mind that you think, oh, don't forget to say this, and then you get there and I'm totally forgetting what I was going to say. Oh, retail price, wholesale price. I didn't mention that this time. The retail prices are, the price, and then if you spend up to or more than $150 at the wholesale level, that's how you can get the wholesale price. We don't have any other criteria than ordering the volume. So if something is $15 is a retail price and $10 is a wholesale price, if you bought 15 of them to get $150, that's how you would get the wholesale price. Shipping, I talked about that. We ship everything same day, next day at the latest.
The customer, they can custom make
Oh,
a different material and also custom make custom plate, different colors.
I didn't talk about custom work. Obviously, we're getting a lot of that, which is awesome. We are the factory, so we love doing custom work, and we can do basically anything that you can imagine within the parameters. Everything has to fit in a flask. But most jewelry things we can make. If you want us to make a Captain America shield, we can't. But we could do just about anything else. In custom thing, and there's you can look on the website. There's the menu bar. One of the items that's in gold, highlighted in gold, DIY jewelry. You can look under custom made jewelry, and all the information as far as pricing is concerned. Just for example, sterling ring that's under 5 grams. The price is only $60, and that includes the design and everything. You can have an idea, a couple drawings, or sometimes people email us pictures of other things they've seen, to get, oh, well, I like this, but I want it to be like that, kind of thing. Or you can start with one of our items that I think, well, I like this ring, but this ring is built for an oval thing, and I've got this rectangular baguette emerald that I want to have set in there. And, we can custom, make, on that. The way it works, once we start the process, is we do a 3D design, email it to you. Once you say okay, they print a 3D resin version of that, and then ultimately we cast that. So we can do one at a time. They're not required to do custom or production runs of many pieces, although we love doing that, and we do lots of those too. And custom items, I mean, obviously if you've ever been to the showroom or seen us at shows, you know that all of the stuff that we sell is, the bulk of it is sterling silver, but custom work, you can do it in anything. We can do it in gold, 14 karat, 18 karat. I had somebody requesting 9 karat gold. I guess we can do that too. And we can do all kinds of platings too, rose gold plate or, whatever. Whatever you want. That's why they call it custom. And we're happy to be your custom casting house. I have that one. Was there somebody talking there? Asking a question?
No. Some people join us.
Oh. Hi, people who joined us. New people who joined us. Sorry you joined us just at the end, because I'm trying to close now, and something is still bugging me that I should have mentioned. But whatever it is, when I do remember, I'm going to write it down, and I'll remember to mention it next week. So thanks for joining us this week. And again, don't forget, we're here every Wednesday morning, 10:30 Pacific time. And you can figure out whatever time that is for you or wherever you are. But we appreciate you stopping in. And, you know, we love seeing you guys here. We love chatting with you. Again, this is your time to ask questions, comments, stop me at any time as I'm going through, you know, my spiel thing. You know, I want to bring you information, but I also want to answer questions or do whatever, you know, ask whatever you need. We just want to be here for you, and we are. You can always email, call, text, yell very loudly. We'll hear you. So until next week, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you then. Have a great week, everybody. Okay, bye. Are we on? Oh, wait, hang on. What is that? Hi, I do have a question about a toggle clasp. Can I private message? Yes, Helen, you can private message us and we'll answer your question about the thing. Oh, you know, you may have noticed now that I'm trying to end and thing, and this is not the thing that I thought I wanted to say, but something else popped in my mind. On the website, you know, if it's after hours and we're not here, there's a little chat function there. That's us. We don't farm that out to some other um, whatever customer service farm who has a list of, you know, pre-recorded answers that they use. That's either Marble or me or Nelson. You know, when you ask those questions, that's us. If I'm sitting at home at night, binging whatever is on Netflix thing, and we see you pop up, I'll stop whatever I'm doing and answer your questions. So, you know, until I'm sleeping. When I'm sleeping, I don't answer your questions. But every other time, yeah, use that chat function. That's us. So if you have any questions at any time, don't feel like you know, you're limited to email or direct message or whatever. You know, it's a very cool function, a very cool feature. We don't always, won't always answer if it's, you know, especially if it's after hours. I may not always answer immediately, like within a minute or so, because I don't sit with my phone attached to my. But you know, I get notifications on my phone, and if I see it, I'll open it up and I'll start chatting with you. So, and I ended up going way over again. Sure, thanks. I joined late at 11 a.m., so I missed the first half hour. Sorry, Helen. I think within pretty quickly after we end here, this will be uploaded onto the Facebook page, and you'll be able to watch the whole thing from the beginning. If that's something you want to do. It's all talk about chains, which I thought was pretty informative and pretty interesting. But neither here nor there. Again, I don't mean to be dragging this on. I've gone 11 minutes over again. So I'm going to end this for real now this time. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. Pacific, at your SilviaFindings live stream. Like us, thumbs up, or whatever it is on Facebook. I don't know. Share this video with your friends and get a free polishing cloth. And thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. All right. Goodbye now. We're off now for real.